Hello everyone, my name is Sarathi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we're going to be playing Ryu-Ge. Ryu-Ge is a fun pendulum ritual level 10 deck. Very inconsistent, but it provides a lot of interesting interactions, and there are only two real combos for you to learn when you're playing the deck, so I want to kind of showcase how you can use these cards and make some sick plays. So the first combo, we're only going to use Sosei Ryu-Ge Mistva. This is the Arceus of the deck. So we set it as a pendulum scale. Activate the effect. We will add Ryu-Ge Warzone from our deck to our hand, and then we destroy it. Now we activate Ryu-Ge Warzone's effect. That allows us to select 3 monsters from our deck. So we're going to add Kaiva to the hand. We're going to banish Emva. And then we're going to send Hakva to the graveyard. Now, we activate the effect of Ryu-Ge Warzone. Since we have Sosei in our Pendulum extra deck, we can special summon 3 different monsters, one from our deck, one from our graveyard, and one from banishment, all with different types. So we summon all 3. Then we'll trigger the effect of Tensei Ryu-Ge Anva. It'll destroy itself. That will trigger the effect of Sosei and also the effect of Anva. So Anva will place the Ryu-Ge End Continuous Trap from our deck into the field. Then we will tribute the Emva, Ritual Summon Sosei, and use its effect to destroy the Ryu-Ge Warzone. That will allow us to place the Dino Realm from the deck on the field. Then we'll activate the effect of Kaiva. We can special summon it. And now we can exceed these 2 monsters into Varudras, the Final Bringer of the End Times. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at what this Endboard got us. We have Sosei out. Sosei is a 3800 attack, 2500 defense monster, and it has the effect of, thanks to the Dino Realms, once per turn when an effective and a monster on the field with less attack than Sosei's effect is activated, you can place Ryu-Ge Realm Dino Domains on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, negate the activation. So we can negate a monster effect on the field. We also have Varudras, the Final Bringer of End Times, which is when an opponent activates a card or effect, you can detach 1 material from this card, negate the activation, then you can detach 1 material from this card to destroy 1 card on the field without targeting it. Doesn't have to be the card that activated the effect either. At the start of the damage shift, if this card attacks while it has material, you can destroy 1 card on the field, and if the Succeed Summon card is destroyed, you can destroy 1 card on the field. So it can pop up a whole bunch of cards, and it's also an Omni-Negate. Then we also have Ryu-Ge End, which is your opponent cannot target Ryu-Ge monsters you control with card effects, and if a Ryu-Ge Pendulum monster is on your field, you can shuffle 2 Ryu-Ge monsters from your hand, graveyard, and banishment into the main deck, then target 1 monster on the field and destroy it. At the moment, that effect is not live if we ignore the card in our hand, but as soon as we detach a material from Varudras, it will be live. So we have untargetable monsters, and a negate on the field, an Omni-Negate that destroys, and a pop. That's respectable for a 1-card combo. Alright, let's see what happens when we have our 2-card combo. Alright, I said this was a 2-card combo, but really it's more of like a 1.5 card combo, because all you need is the Melody of Awakening Dragon and any monster in your deck that is not Emva or Kaivu. So any monster other than Groudon or Kyogre, including hand traps. So let's take a look at this. We're going to activate Melody, and we're going to discard Ash. That adds both Giratina and Arceus from our deck to our hand. Now we'll set the Pendulum Scale with Giratina, and then we set the Pendulum Scale with Arceus. Now here's the thing. So we already know that Arceus can add the field spell from our deck to our hand, but Giratina is very useful because Giratina's effect is you can negate your opponent's card or effect activated in response to the activation of a Ryu-Ge spell card or effect, then destroy this card. Remember that pendulum monsters are treated as spell cards. So this card actually protects Arceus the search effect. If your opponent tries to Ash your Arceus, then you can destroy Anva instead, and it will allow Sosei to resolve. So we're going to activate the effect. We add the field spell. You might think, okay, this is going to be the same combo from this point, but no, it's actually quite different. So we do the same line here. We add Kaiva to hand, we banish Emva, and then we mill Hakva. Alright, now we'll activate the effect. Special summon Giratina from deck, revive both Rayquaza and Kyogre. Giratina's effect activates and it destroys itself. That triggers the effect of Arceus and Giratina. So play our continuous trap. And then we tribute. Special. Now that we have Arceus on the field, we can actually destroy two cards. We can destroy the Ryu-Ge Warzone, and we can destroy the Anva that we added with Melody. This gives us two continuous spells instead of one. Now, we can activate Kyogre's effect from the graveyard. Kyogre's effect is, if two or more monsters other than Kyogre have been sent from the deck or the hand to the graveyard this turn, and Kyogre is in your graveyard, you can revive it. So the good thing about that is, we discarded a card, remember, a monster card from Melody. The other card that was sent to the graveyard was the Rayquaza when we milled it with the field spell. That's why that effect is live. Now we activate Kaiva's effect from hand so we can special summon it. And then we Xyz Rayquaza and Kyogre into Varudras. Okay, so what's different about this board? A couple things. For starters, we now have an additional continuous spell. So that would be our Ryu-Ge Realm Wyrm Winds. Any monster sent from the field to the graveyard during your opponent's turn is banished instead. This is a searchable macrocosmos. It prevents your opponent, if your opponent synchro summons, if your opponent link summons, they banish their monsters. Huge effect. Very, very good. And then Ryu-Ge Pendulum monsters and level 10 or higher monsters whose original type is Wyrm gain this effect. Once per turn, you can place one Ryu-Ge continuous spell you control on the bottom of the deck, then take one face-up monster on the field, its attack becomes 0. Okay. That's an okay effect. We're not really going to use that. But now we have both Mistva and Kaiva still on the field. What does that mean? Well, it means that our Dino Domain is now 2 negates instead of 1. Now, I did open Dino Domain, so I couldn't search it with Sosei's effect in this replay, but I would have. That's the combo. So we instead of placing the Sea Spires from your deck with your Mistva, you would place Dino Realm and Wyrm Winds. Okay, so with that effect, that means that you can use Dino Domains as effect. The first time your opponent activates a monster effect, you can use Kaiva's effect and place Wyrm Winds on the bottom of your deck. The second time they do it, you can use Mistva's effect and place Dino Domain on the bottom of the deck. So that's 2 negates on the field, along with the Varudras pop and the destruction from Ryu-Ge and also a Macrocosmos while you're getting set up. So that's a huge board. Very, very powerful. So there you go. That's the combos. Here's the deck list. 2 copies of Max C, 2 copies of Ash, 1 copy of Inspector Border, 1 copy of Magnamut, 1 copy of Groudon, 2 copies of Kyogre, 2 copies of Rayquaza, 3 copies of Giratina, 3 copies of Arceus, 3 copies of Melody the Awakening Dragon, 2 copies of Warzone, 1 of each of the continuous spells, and 1 of both the trap cards. 2 copies of Super Polymerization, 2 copies of Called by the Grave, 3 copies of Ryu-Ge Rising, which is another way to add Sosei to your hand, 3 copies of Imperm, and 3 copies of Dominus Impulse. For the extra deck, we are playing a bunch of fusions that can be used with Super Polymerization, Mud Dragon of the Swamp, Garuro, Wings of Resonance, Aerial Eater, or you can play Fiendsmith Lacrima if you have that, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, Predaplant Drago Stapelia, and Chaos Star Source Dragon. Then for the Xyz, we have Gustav Max, which deals 2,000 damage to your opponent's life points. 3 copies of Varudras. Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Juggernaut Libe, which has 6,000 attack points and can attack multiple times. Typhon, SP Little Knight, Blackluster Soldier, which can be not targeted and cannot be destroyed if you link it off with your 3 monsters. And finally, World Gears of Theological Demiurgy, which during your main phase, if you control this card that was link summoned using 3 monsters that had 3 different types of attributes on the field, you can destroy all other cards on the field, which is pretty funny. Alright, that's the deck. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.